Welcome back to another episode of Lunch and Life with Sharon and
Rob and Joy.
how's everybody doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. For a minute, it's just like, wait, I don't hear anybody speaking back to me.
Hello, world.
I am doing well, especially after my little cap situation in my mouth yesterday and having to go to the dentist. Like,
That is so not fun. So not fun.
It's not at all. But anyway, I digress. Today, we want to talk about thriving versus surviving. We had spoken a couple of weeks ago about ways that we get stuck and 3 tips to get unstuck. And Robin, I really liked a poem that you shared, a quote that you shared from Oprah from that book. So I thought that would be a great way to kick this off.
Yeah, let me read you this. It reads as this. It's actually from this book, What I Know for, here I go again. What I Know for Sure from Oprah's book. And she says, I know for sure that your journey begins with a choice to get up, step out, and live fully.
I love that.
And it's so true, right? I mean, it goes back to that. It's a choice. We make a conscious choice, and some days we just have to get up, right? That's get out of bed, even if we don't feel like it. Try and take a shower, even if we don't feel like it. Because it's almost a survival mode, right? Sharon and I were talking yesterday, what's up? We were both so exhausted. We've been so exhausted. We think, it had to do with the full moon and retrograde and all that. And then today we're like, wow, we both have so much energy, like thumbs up, here we go. So it was like, we definitely feel like we're thriving today, just energy wise, versus yesterday was definitely survival.
And not just yesterday for me, it was like the whole last week. And initially,
maybe 2 weeks for me.
Initially, I thought, I had actually gotten tested for COVID, even though I'm vaccinated, because I thought I was exposed. And so initially with all that tiredness, I'm like, do I have COVID? But then I was negative and yet still tired and lethargic. And it's so easy to just beat yourself up with like, get with it. Let's go. Let's just keep moving. Why are you so tired? You can't be tired. If you're tired, you're being lazy. And the mind plays those things, and that word lazy is so triggering for me, right? And I know it's triggering for a lot of people. And as we were saying also yesterday when we were talking, the idea of just having compassion and letting it go, because our bodies go through cycles and we have to honor it.
Yeah. So when we're in that mode, and we actually were kind of our perfect own examples, right? Just to have the grace and compassion to be like, we couldn't really even talk about the show. We were trying to plan for the show, and it was like, give it up. We'll talk today. And just to be able to say, have a good night, get some rest, and we'll talk. For me, it's triggering too, that laziness, because I still have the little Robin. If I got home before anybody else was home, I was, the youngest of 3. So if I was home and sitting on the couch, even if I had a book open, after school and eating a snack, and if I put the TV on, I don't even remember, but the garage door went up. The TV went off, the snacks like got hidden. And the book, I had to look like I was studying, and it was just the same idea of don't look lazy. Go and do. But it's you just have to get into that, it's okay to take a break, like listening to yourself and your body, and just take that inner rest, like just take it. So if you're in that survival mode, it's okay, because when you give your body rest, then you can thrive. Then you can kind of have the energy to move forward. And listen, you'll get done what you need to get done. I mean, we've talked about it. I love the not to do list, because you'll find out really what you don't need to do. That's not that important.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. This whole survival mode it makes us anxious.
Yeah.
When it makes us anxious, then we're outside of ourselves, because we're, worried or thinking about whatever those triggers are, or what we aren't doing. And when we then get disconnected, it's so like Oprah's quote of, I know this for sure, is that if we become aware of it, then we can realize what the pattern is and come back full circle and know for sure that this too will pass.
Right. Right. So it's really just, and we were also talking about, just take the small action steps. Like if you can take that one small action, whatever that is, if it's you just have the energy to do, then you've rested and you get that one email out, you make that one phone call, you clean up your desk by organizing a little stack of papers, whatever is important to you, do it with ease and do it with compassion for yourself.
Yeah. And then also, I recommend, because I've seen this happen with my clients, as you have also, is when we have that trigger, noticing it, writing down what the trigger is connected to what is occurring, because then it's that opportunity to ask yourself, when have I had this trigger before, right? Like as we're talking about the laziness, there are other types of triggers, right? So just that, where is this? And that's where the work comes in, right? That's
Right.
the work comes in. Like, so for me with emotional eating, I have a client who we were talking about how she gets a second serving after dinner. And when we were just talking about what can she do instead of, she found herself getting overwhelmed and anxious as though I was taking something away.
Mm.
And that was her trigger. And I said, okay, let's explore that, because I'm not taking it away from you. I'm offering you a way to shift the perspective,
Mhm.
to have something else to swap. But the fact that you're feeling like it's being taken away from you comes from something. And then eventually she discovered what that was for her, which was a childhood memory of her parents getting divorced and the outcome of that. So that translated into eating, right? So we all have different things that
Yeah.
it can, somebody might be listening to this and, watching this and thinking, wow, that sounds very familiar.
Right. It's really, you bring up such a good point because I'll put money down on this one, 99.999% that so often these triggers isn't a present day thing. So often it goes back to an imprint of the past, and it doesn't necessarily connect until you sit down and you take that pause. And it could be something that, again, that your parent could have said, a parent could have said, a sibling could have said, a teacher, just in passing, not even thinking that it was anything big. So the idea of understanding and taking the pause for what that triggered in your childhood, that simple statement that now you connect to saying, I got it. And once you connect that, it's so interesting to then stop and say, now I understand why I'm having the reaction that I'm having. And
Yeah.
then you can move forward from it. But it's so important to make that connection because I'm telling you, it really is an imprint from the past.
Yeah. And if you don't, you just keep repeating it over and over. And then the person who's triggering you, you end up reacting and taking something out on that person, right? Relationships, friendships, siblings, parents, your kids, because of that past trauma. It really it is, right? When you have that, because it sits in us.
Yeah.
So if we can stop and not react, to your point, that awareness is going to help us then that action. Yeah.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, just as to throw this out there. So my daughter, who's nanny part-time right now, she was with this little boy and they just need her help temporarily. And the mother has stopped saying, be careful. And he's a toddler, so he's climbing. He decides to get on chairs backwards and things like that. Toddlers where your head's bigger than the body and they're going to fall. So Kira, my daughter, has stopped saying, be careful. And she said, Kira had said something like, Corey, is that a good choice? how about we try it this way? And I said, interesting selection of words. Why did you say that? And so this is why our kids are brilliant. My daughter says to me, because saying be careful is almost making him scared to try things. And I was like, oh, there you go. And if you think about it, you're instilling this fear of trying and putting yourself out there. And I know it's hard to connect that, but it's so true. So this little 2-year-old, it's making him think of maybe doing something a different way rather than not doing it. And so those simple words of be careful can be switched into something like, are you sure you want to try it this way? Or how about trying something this way? Or that's an interesting choice. Just giving them the words of empowerment at a young age makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, because they definitely don't have the words and they act out instead.
Right.
And yeah, sometimes, and that's why so many people end up in therapy when they get
Exactly.
older.
Exactly.
And, and listen, whatever modality works for everybody, that's great. You have to find what works best for you. And just trying to start with this is really the key to unlocking everything.
It is. It's just the matter of living presently in that present moment, because it's so easy to get running in that hustle and bustle all the time and not taking the time for your own compassion. And so if you can just all be very conscious of that, survive, thrive, and just know that you're fine doing your thing your way consciously, it's just the start, just start.
Absolutely. I love that. And a great way to end this episode.
So survive and thrive.
Yeah. And honor both. Have compassion for yourself when you're in either state, especially the survive state. And may you all keep thriving. As always,
keep thriving.
A pleasure unpacking lunch and life with you, Robin.
My pleasure. Love it.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.